That's how reproduction even works.
I have something for you, young man. Ooh, watch yourself, it's the claw. Ooh, the claw's coming at you.
I've heard that if you homeschool your children, that they're likely to turn out really weird.
Ooh, you're scared of the claw.
Well, in schools, they tell kids that you can become an animal.
Ooh.
What a peculiar place to have a party.
Welcome back to the channel, gang. We're only 8.4 seconds into Matt Powell exposing the public schools video, and we're already falling down a rabbit hole. I mean, seriously, if we aren't animals, what are we, plants? Matt has been known for turning people green. He's weird and was definitely homeschooled on a farm where he learned about sex and gender with his brothers. Let's get into Matt crapping on public schools and never having been inside one. This should be good. Help me out. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let's get into it.
And some kids believe that they are animals. I was homeschooled. And let me tell you, if you homeschool your children, you help them to avoid all the racism, all of the socialism and fascism.
Says the biggest bigot ever and the most racist too. Doesn't know what fascism is and doesn't have to pay taxes because that was built in by design. And let's not sit here and pretend Matt isn't being paid by the government to homeschool his children. Seriously, Matt uses the public roads and it drives him crazy. He's got to commit to that cause because that's socialism.
Socialism and fascism that is literally being taught to our students in America today. I grew up with 4 brothers. We had no sisters. We studied the ABEKA curriculum, and a lot of that in high school was equivalent to that of college textbooks. So by the time my brothers and I hit college, we were ready to be able to take certain exams, and we were able to study up and master some of these classes because of a strong foundation that was given us by this curriculum.
ABEKA is an absolute train wreck of faith-based homeschooling, and if you sign up for the text message spam, you can set up an account and get 10 free hours of PragerU-style propaganda. And the best part of Matt pushing this, grade school coloring books and middle school science experiments that include melting down crayons. I'd wager Matt's brothers and all of his kids are 4.0 students, and, you know, my mom wouldn't have given me a B either. Matt's homeschool mommy didn't have the knowledge and wisdom of the many teachers I had, and some of them I hated. You know, Matt was robbed of a proper education and taught by a vending machine.
And so if you're looking at homeschooling your kids, the ABEKA curriculum is truly phenomenal. They didn't pay me to say that. They don't even know I'm making this video.
Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Nudge, know what I mean? Say no more.
But I just want to say that's what worked for me. It'll work for your kids. And it'll work for you if you're willing to really apply yourself and learn the material.
Nudge, ain't not as good as a wink to a blind bat.
I don't really get what Matt's trying to say here with the mastering classes and taking exams. That's what schools do, dummy. Back in the mid-'80s, there was no internet, no DVDs. They didn't come out till the 90s, so at best, ABEKA books would have just been a steaming pile of unqualified parents trying to teach shit they themselves don't know, and their only resource was trying to fumble one lesson ahead of their children using the parents' guidebook.
Now, I understand if you don't have that opportunity, just simply pull your kid aside when they come home from the public school system and ask them what they learned. Ask them how school's going.
Recently, I was listening to one of those call-in shows, and this woman asked the host how she could protect her children from their public school education. And the host told her to tell them evolution is fake and Genesis is totally real. She was like, I tell them that all the time. You know, these idiots have so little faith in their dogma and are threatened and afraid of everything. These are actually the fools building their homes on sand. Matthew 7:24.
And what I would do is try to guide them the best that you can using God's word as a final authority and also just basic common sense.
I feel sorry for Matt. He lost out on the great things about public school. I, like most people, hated school. And when your advanced health book is a picture book about washing your hands and no sex ed, first aid, CPR, and maybe a hygienic book that tells girls their periods are sins and don't use tampons, it's no wonder Matt's a fucking idiot.
As the school system waxes worse, homeschooling has become such a great alternative for families. And I was homeschooled my entire life.
I'm not sure that's something you should be going around bragging about, Matt, because fourth graders are smarter than you. ABEKA has a lot of problems. It's heavy on religion, expensive, anti-Catholic, dry, and not engaging. The videos are short, and you have to pay for textbooks and/or the videos. It's not flexible. It doesn't teach the why behind mathematical concepts, and each day's lessons are only 3 to 4 hours long. And if you have to purchase the package, you got to purchase it again for every kid. It also teaches young Earth creation, denies the origins of the universe, life, and evolution, meaning it teaches magic in its science classes.
And I recommend it. If you're a young one and you're learning from your mother how to read and how to write and how to do mathematics, you will automatically develop a respect for that parent.
That sounds really heartfelt and emotional. My mom did teach me to read and write and do basic arithmetic, and I respected the fact she was humble enough to know she wasn't qualified to teach math and science and history. Also, it's not like my parents stopped teaching me once I went to school. I remember asking my dad when I was like 5 years old where my wings were going to come from, and he's like, "Boy, I don't know, but if you want the answers, I'll take you over to the church on Sunday mornings." I thought, well, it's not a big deal to him. Why should it be a big deal to me?
Are there some bad homeschoolers out there? Absolutely.
Irony.
If you get enough people together doing something, you're going to get some bad people in there. And of course, there's people that have failed the educational system.
This woman should never, ever be allowed to be an educator. This woman should never be allowed to work around children ever again.
People should be called out. They should be made to be accountable to their children. They owe their children that opportunity to learn.
I totally feel where you're coming from, my guy. You were owed that opportunity and you were denied it, and you should make it your goal to go back and make up for lost time. It's too late for Matt and his offspray, but he's right. We need to break the cycle. I mean, how pathetically weak is a religion that requires isolation, indoctrination, and just denying reality?
She pulls out her breasts and she's juggling them. Look like she about to fall over. Then she bends over and pulls down her panties, spreads her cheeks. I'm not lying. I'm telling you what's on the video.
Some people will criticize videos like this, and they'll say, well, Matt, how could you shelter your kids? Don't you want them to learn about the world?
Ladies, please. All our founding fathers, astronauts, and World Series heroes have been either drunk or on cocaine.
Matt's going to do this thing where he's the hero. I'm the good guy. I'm doing this for you because I'm sacrificing. See?
Well, if a wolf attacked my child, I would defend my child. If a bear came out of the woods that we live in and attacked my family, I would shelter my family the best that I could. Well, they tell kids there's more than two genders. They invite drag queens to come and put on their little shows, their little performances in front of the little ones.
That is one big pile of shit.
Matt goes from bear fighting bullshit to more bullshit. The videos Matt's playing doesn't even have a queen in it, but there's a bald guy with a rainbow-colored stick and an unusual-looking kid not being bullied and flogged. After all, folks, we can't abide a person with an unusual haircut.
You're going to just sit there and let your son or daughter take in all of that disgusting filth? Or are you going to step up and be a hero to your child and shield them from propaganda, from misinformation about gender and about their existence?
Wait a minute. I thought people weren't animals unless they were Noah's son's Ham's descendants.
Because we were taking care of cattle, taking care of horses, taking care of chickens.
I'm picturing Matt in buttless chaps and a cowboy hat jerking off a steer so he can simulate some cows while the whole time background music's playing and it's coming from the sky.
Love to spit some beach, nothing
Shame.
that dude
Shame.
tries and
Shame.
shit with my old 45.
Shame!
And helping these animals to be able to have offspring. And I'm telling you, when you see God's creation, you're not going to be convinced that a man could turn into an animal.
Animal.
Let's address that animal thing for a second, because I don't get why it's so difficult for these idiots to grasp that we are multicellular eukaryotes that aren't plants, insects, fungi, or bacteria. Why do these people get so offended by a word and then weaponize it like it's a bad thing? And even colloquially, we are shit-flinging animals, and I have footage to prove it. Shit, it's actually a contradiction, because we are fallen sinners, disgusting in God's eyes, but totally special anyway.
Or that gender is not binary. Of course it's binary. That's how reproduction even works.
He had this crazy idea about breeding pine trees.
I guess when you're that ignorant and you're going to ignore the vast diversity of life and you didn't get an actual science education, it's okay to derp out loud. That's how reproduction works, folks. I mean, dude would make an excellent bee farmer. Wait a minute, pine tree farmer.
That's how reproduction even works. People always say, oh, homeschooling, it's gonna make my kids weird. Well, at least they're not gonna think that men can get pregnant. In schools, they're teaching kids this.
No, they're not, you lying horse stroker. You're just making up scary stories and trying to get everyone to fall in line while you lie about sex ed and biology classes, forgetting about some things being able to actually change their sexes and reproduce with themselves. There are no public schools telling little children that males can get pregnant by females and whatever.
In schools, they're teaching kids this. And kids are believing it because they're impressionable.
That's why don't be surprised if he seeks to tell little children in school about anal sex.
Check out my other videos. Anyway, there was about 15 of us who had sex ed in 6th grade, and it was just little children who were armed with the knowledge these idiots still don't know. If we asked Matt about the clitoris, he'd laugh, blush, and not be able to point it out on a diagram. He'd call it porn, say it's a myth and that women don't have orgasms. See, these idiots actually want people to be ignorant about sex and reproduction, hygiene, disease. See,
our Great War is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives.
We're at war, and these idiots think it's important that other people be just as ignorant as they are. I mean, after all, how upsetting would it be for someone, like a 6th grader, to know more about sex than this dude knows at 40 years old? It's a little embarrassing, to be honest with you.
We're very, very pissed off.
A child is very impressionable.
We know, and that's why your kind is all about trying to get to them when they're really young. The earlier, the better.
And you could hurt them. And in the school system, the stuff they're telling the kids, it is hurting them. That's why they're turning out the way that they turn out. I saw a guy just the other day, he thought he's a wolf.
It's like I said in another video, Matt is an AI serial phalluses bot. And I've seen that wolf thing where a guy in the military uniform was linked to other wolves in masks taking pictures of their dicks at the gym.
There's nothing crazy about a person wanting to look on the outside the way they feel on the inside.
I've seen these idiots use this picture to say the military lets people wear a mask and pretend to be animals. And then they say, look at this picture of this guy, and he's sending out photos of his dick. And it's obviously different people.
I saw a girl a few weeks ago.
Darling, it's where to take it from me.
Thought that she was a fish.
There are a lot of other people out there who are trans species.
The public school system of Nazi Germany corrupted so many youth, and it made them feel like they were really it. They were the generation that was going to set everything straight, and they ultimately turned into terrorists. A lot of people in the Nazi army killed Jews, they killed Christians, they killed all sorts of people during the Holocaust.
This is the guy whose ABEKA education made him not a racist and a master of college exams. He doesn't know what a terrorist is and thinks the Holocaust killed Christians. Dude walks like, talks like, and acts like a Nazi. He hates Jews and thinks he's better than everyone, even the other idiots that agree with him.
Because they were being taught Darwinian evolution. They believed that we all descended from rats and that the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Norwegians were the most evolved. My wife actually purchased me this plaque, and it says, "A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor."
You got 80 feet of a water line, nicely making way.
Is Matt even a sailor? Like, why would your wife give that to you? I'm picturing Tommy Boy sailing on a pond in Ohio right now.
Sometimes it might be hard to pull your kids out of a public school system or to have these conversations with them.
And you know it will.
But you've got to keep in mind there are weirdos that try to have these conversations with your kids and fill them with lies. They want to brainwash your children.
Wipe off that angel face and go back to high school.
Be willing to have a conversation, even though it may be difficult, to combat the lies that they're taught if they go to a public school. The Bible says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it."
That's really deep. If you never let someone think for themselves, you don't ever have to worry about it ever happening.
In a day and age where people say there's no right or wrong, there's no morality, Matt.
I think we can all agree that's utter horse shit. No one's ever uttered that level of stupidity in Matt's direction, and he's just making shit up again.
In a day and age when there's perverts going all over the streets, flaunting their bodies in front of these kids.
Spread their legs and wiggle on their butt in front of you and stuff like that, and pretend like they're masturbating. I said,
just to be clear, here at Project Nihilist, we don't kink shame anyone.
and I said, I would have some Jezebel come up and just rag bang, just slap the fire out of me, or try to pull my beard, tell me I need to shave my beard off.
In a day and age in which children are not considered humans, I'm talking about babies in the mother's wombs, they're not even considered human children.
This is a day of days.
I'm not sure what that has to do with exposing public schools, and Matt's right. Fetuses aren't children or babies. We shouldn't force people to carry unwanted and unviable things that can't live on their own and give them special privileges.
In this day and age, we must stand up while there is yet time, and we must be the voice for those who are suffering. A hero is somebody who stands up on behalf of those who are suffering, and that hero is willing to, in some cases, lay down his or her life for the protection of other people.
What a grandiose delusion of one's own self. This hero isn't putting his life on the line, but his narcissism tells him that he's a superhero and out there fighting for those that can't fight for themselves. What, have you adopted any unwanted babies?
He is leaking, he will run out of power and he will die.
These Christians, they love saying that they'll take care of all the unwanted children, but when it comes down to it, they don't give a fuck about them after they're born.
Me, Johnny, you busted.
When people say, oh, don't shelter your kids, don't worry about them.
If you've seen any of my other videos, I've admitted this before, and I tend to paint with a broad brush, and I obviously don't think the majority of Christians are stupid idiots like Matt Powell.
When they say to take the walls of protection down and just let people wreak havoc with your children.
Given my terrible Englishing skills, I hate to be the one to point this out, Matt, but it's wreak havoc, not wreck havoc.
That should be a red flag to you, and you should not listen to them because those people are just as delusional as the transgender advocates that we see all over the streets of America now.
Hi, Lisa.
People often say, well, you're homeschooling your kids because you're just a conspiracy theorist. Well, the ultimate conspiracy is being taught in school. The conspiracy that we all descended from rats and that we all descended from jellyfish. It just gets more and more and more insane.
That could all be horseshit, but anything makes more sense than being spoken into existence with little to no thought at all. In his video, Matt admits the only education he got was based on a 2,000-year-old storybook written by people who said the law says after you get off, you're unclean. You got to take 2 little birds to the priest, one to burn and one's blood to play with, so you can atone for your crime and get to sleep and eat inside the camp. If you made it this far, thanks for stopping by. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. And God, if you made it this far, you're the best.
And so that's why we really should do the best that we can to teach our kids at home